Yeah.
Gavel for everybody, and brings them on Shechlet.
Amen. Okay, we're being mamshich in the top pay test, the semi top pay test. Up to Sefiras, page top lamed beis. Page top lamed beis.
Page?
Top lamed beis.
Half lamed?
Top left.
Half lamed.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a different. It's top pay test, and that one. No, in his it's top pay test, and this is that Chiligim? Is that a Chiligim?
Yeah.
So you can use that one. Yeah.
So here where?
Yeah, top lamed beis.
Page. I mean, page. Page.
Page top lamed beis.
Page 10. You still in Pesach?
So the same. Okay, it's Ches. Many idea is a yem who besvira. You don't know what day it is. Where you're holding in the svira. You don't know what day of svira it is. Pasach haberach hadash yisber kamish yishma chaberi. You made the bracha, and you started making the bracha, and you said, "Oh, wait, when you'll hear from your friend what day it is."
Right.
After bracha shasak, and right after you made the bracha, you were quiet, and then you heard from your friend what day he counted a suffer kameo, and you counted whatever day he said.
How could you make a bocher when you don't know what you make a bocher?
Oh.
Usually you have to make a bocher.
Oh,
I'm holding an apple and I'm going to make a bocher. I can't make boiled fluids and then looking where's the apple. I can make shak and looking where's the water.
right. But you're knowing svira, but
What you blessing? What you bocher? I'll smart that I'm going to hear from my friend like you told me I could do it. You understand? That's my question. If you did it, we have it the yotze, but like how mechatchila you could go on.
that's because you had in mind that you're going to do it on this day, and you know just what you're going to hear, even though. Yeah, that's why it's a question. He says, yes, the next thing we're going to say is you shouldn't do that.
Right.
He says, yes, the chivis habracha, you yetza the bracha, when instead of lachs the vara shein is kedin, so he doesn't have to bench again. After Bishav shas brichas rishein, even though when you made the first bracha, you didn't know on which day you're making a bracha. The test, halachat tchila lasses, you shouldn't do halachat tchila. The Yivarach HaSheyideh is a Yim Hu Masfira, and you know what day it is. Today Sheyideh Maham Yivarach, you should know what you make a bracha. Chaf. What happens if you had in mind, not that you didn't know, you actually had something else in mind. Had the wrong day in mind.
Okay.
Had in mind the wrong day. In Beirach Hadas Lisper Arba Yam Laimash, you had in mind, you made the bracha to do 4. Shosava Sheyim Revi, you thought it was the 4th night. Well, after you finish the bracha, then you realize before you said anything wrong, you realize Shemim Chamish is the 5th night. Instead of Laxil Varich, you don't need a bench again. Let's say for Mech Chamisha Asmach Bracha Shabira Kfar. You can make a bracha on that. After Pisha Bracha is Aldas, even though when you made the bracha, you had a mind for 4. Im Kaklum. This is the rule. Varim Shabalev Ein and Varim and Yizak, which is Barber Simulation test. The Varim Shabalev, since a pile.
He didn't say the word, so it's okay.
Right. And if you look in Kufnam Ches in the bottom, in the Ha'ara, in the bottom, they say the same thing in Birchs and Enem, you also find such a concept.
But we don't say dvarim as similar.
Oh, that's
the problem.
So on the bottom he says, in a case, let's say a person's going to make he has a cup of water. He thought it's wine. He started saying, you're about to say Beta Pirkaf, and then you realize
It's water.
That's water, and you change right away to say Shaknim. Water, you're also Yetzer.
But the question, when you make a bracha, you have to see what you have in the front. He said apple. See apple. You see watermelon. You have to see it. Well, you make a bracha be'alma.
No, he's making a bracha smart that he's going to hear in a second from his friend which day it's late.
No, I'm talking about general. When you make a bracha,
yes, you have to hold it in your hand before you make it.
And to see what it is.
So he thought it's wine. And then when you pick it up closer, he said, no, it's water.
Wine look different color. Okay.
What happened?
White wine.
Clearly, you're saying the bracha on what you have in your hand.
So you have to say Ataramadid.
Right.
Okay.
Clearly, you're saying the bracha on what you have in your hand.
אבל לכתחילה אין. We just said, לכתחילה אין.
Right.
If you did it, you don't have to go back.
The kavanah, the machshava doesn't not a problem. Machshava doesn't mess it up. Clearly, you should have the right machshava, but even if you didn't, it still works.
Like a tefillin. If somebody put tefillin and they didn't have the right machshava. Even though, but he was it of mitzvah tefillin. Maybe it's not behid or whatever, but the Maisi did the act. It did.
It's impossible. You have it filling in your head. You have to be
He
machshava.
thinks it's,
Thank you very much.
a toy. He thinks it's a toy.
No, no.
Put it on a toy. It's
No,
a toy.
there's people doing certain things in life. They even says why they put a yom yom in davening. At least one part you have to stop and think.
If you were fourth day, and you had a mind to tackle the right kavanah that you're going to bench, you're going to count the fourth night. When you said it, it came out the wrong thing. The Safar Chamisha, and you counted the fifth night.
That's it.
Then obviously you have to say it again. Because then you said something not right. The main thing is what you say, not what you think. He said that it's night four, it's not really the fourth night. Who suffered chamish b'pivin, you said fifth night. This is what you had in mind for in zaklum. Shemitzvah svira b'peh. The mitzvah
main thing is to say
b'peh from chapala. Mitzvah svira b'peh. That's the mitzvah. If you have to make a bracha, right? You count. You actually said the wrong, right? He says he's going to say you don't have to. He says you don't have to, and he says even if you had everything messed up, but you had when you started saying the bracha, you also had the wrong machshava. In the parentheses, it says afilim tabat chilabadaite. You made a mistake and you thought it was the fifth night, and you made the bracha. You had that in mind, and laksha safa, and then you actually said the fifth night, and right after you realize niska shayim revi. You don't have to make another bracha.
He was making a mistake, and the mistake was for
From
his
the whole, he was totally a mistake.
Right.
Everything from the beginning till the end.
And he yates.
But so if you don't have to make another bracha, that
He
bracha.
said the right thing is yates.
No, he didn't say the right thing. He said it was really the fourth night. He thought in his mind it's the fifth night.
And he made
He made a bracha.
And he said fourth.
No, he said the fifth. He messed up totally. Strike out. The guy strike out. Everything was wrong. He had a machshava, the wrong machshava. He said the wrong thing.
Everything was wrong.
Wrong. So then he says he has to say it over. He has to say, you have to say today is the fourth night. But he doesn't have to repeat the bracha. He doesn't have to. Why doesn't he have to repeat the bracha? Right at the parentheses. Because he's eats already in the bracha. What she already said. As long as he didn't make a hefsek with other things, about the stock market, he didn't start talking about other things. But the first svira is not considered a hefsek. Because he was being asik in trying to do the mitzvah. So he said the wrong thing, but he was being asik in the mitzvah. So that's okay. They say have similar thing by Shefer. Chabez. Now he's continuation of Kabbalah. And when he repeats and he says the right one, he says that's the fourth night. You have to repeat. Say Hayem Arba. Unless if he's right after he said Yem Chamishi, he says Yem Revi. He corrects himself right away. Shalom Rabbi, that amount of time. So then he said, you don't have to say the word Hayim, Alayim, Miyad, Arba, Yom Lamer. You say,
continue.
Yeah, just continue able to say. So we do see from here that even if you're mafsik more, even if you realize your mistake more than Teichei Dibur, you still could correct yourself, right? But he says only issue is that you lose the Hayim, but you still could correct yourself and repeat it. So you're still good. As long as you were mafsik with other things. This is the famous thing. If you forgot one night, machlekes. So v'geinim. Yesh shame. Some people say this is a bahag. If you forgot to count one night, you don't need to count anymore by the other nights. Because you already lost the mitzvah Sefiras Haomer totally.
That's a toughie.
Yeah, because when you missed one night. Why? It has to be complete.
Yes.
You have to have all or nothing. Tmimis tiyana. Right? So if it's not tmimis, that's it, it's ma'akiv. Then you lose the whole thing. One mitzvah, 49 days. If you miss one night, that's it. Yishchilkim, you have the other gainim, the high gain. He argues, you still need to count. Each night is a mitzvah for itself. They're not dependent on another.
But if he said the next morning, he said, what do you
So
say?
that's Chavdal. In Chavdal, we're going to talk about that. The halacha is that the minhag is that we still continue counting, but without a bracha. Whether you forgot the first night or any other night, so when it comes to brachas, we say savak brachas lahakol. So since there's an opinion, the bahag, which says that once you miss one night, you lost it, so therefore you can't say a bracha. But you still have to count every night, because the shita of the Haomer says that every night's a mitzvah for itself, so you have to continue.
I think Sfaradim, he said the next morning.
That's what he says. No, not only Sfaradim, everyone. The Medanim, that's what he's going to say right now. The Medanim, everyone. When did we say this, that you can't say a bracha anymore the other night? It's if you didn't remember the whole night, and the next day. If you remember during the daytime, the next day, and you said it without a bracha, which is like we said before, you could count with the bracha.
Normal.
What's the logic? What's the idea? You can just suffer the mashkub. Sorry, but because even according to the first opinion, it says the Bahag says that all of it's one mitzvah, 49 days, and you miss one day, you miss it, and you don't have tmimis. But if you counted in the daytime, you do have tmimis, right? Because you counted all 49 days. But you're gonna ask for You're gonna say some people say the Sefira is only at nighttime. Even forgot by nighttime, you can't count by the daytime. So according to that opinion, right, it's not worth anything to say you counted during the daytime. Right? Not everyone agrees that you're able to count during the daytime. Nevertheless, you have another Yesh Aimrim. You have the other opinion, the second opinion, which says that you count every night as its own mitzvah, and you count. In other words, there's a sveik over here. What's a sveik? When you miss then one night of Sefiras Haomer, yeah. So if you remember during the next day, then you're allowed to count the next night with the bracha. Why? Because it's a sveik.
The next day till Chatzot Hayom, Chatzot Halayla.
So it's the next day, anytime.
It doesn't say.
Doesn't say.
I can say one after one.
No, that day is
It has to be at daytime, not nighttime.
until the evening, until Shkia. So you have a six fake. On one hand, we have this machlekes if every night's his own mitzvah or not. According to the opinion that says every night's his own mitzvah, so anyhow you're allowed to say a bracha every night. Only we don't say the bracha. Why? Because there's an opinion which says that it has to be tmimis. If you miss a night, you're missed. On the other hand, there's also an opinion which says that if you count during the daytime, it's good. It is considered good. Someone argues with them. Fine, but you have two again. It's a fake.
What if somebody forgets of me one night, but he's going to California? By the time he landing, it's still day over there.
So if he didn't have any nights, it's just really good.
He made his day longer, I guess.
Yeah.
So he's good. He's not there and the
Rabbi had a whole thing about this to make sure not to fly because Australia had a whole thing.
Yeah, the Kavatayra.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about not to miss a day, but you live in New York
Oh, he's
and you're going out to California. When you land there, it's still
Yeah,
there.
it's behind,
So
yeah.
you didn't miss.
As long as you
What if
didn't have
you go to
shkia in
Australia?
between.
21 hours.
I don't know how.
Already 2 days up.
You don't have ski in between.
You don't have.
So he lost one. What if you travel to Australia?
Yeah,
It's 21
So
hours.
yeah,
It's
so
already 2 days up.
right. There's other issues,
So
like
he
you
lost.
said, but there's other issues. Depends which way you're traveling. I'm saying if you're traveling, right. So this is the thing of Kavatayra step.
Brother, they give a whole series.
So if so if you go through the date line, if you pass through the date line, so then you could so either you could lose a day, right? Or you could gain a day. Depends which way you're going.
A guy come from Australia to New York, his shvuah is the day before us. Because there says count 50 yom, he can't over 50 yom.
Right.
Because it's personal. So the same as personal. It's not. We learned in the beginning.
It's not like a Rosh Hashanah this time of day. You have to count for 9 days.
According to your country or whatever state.
You need it. 49 days have to pass by you, even if you didn't count. It's really Bama even. It's yeah. So it gets complicated.
That's why
So
people don't. Only if you're flying back and forth in the 9 days to Australia, then you could do it.
a lot of people go around the world the other way. They go around the other way. They don't have to cross the. I did that also. I was in Australia for years. I went Pesach. I can't say. It was Smicha. They had a Smicha program over there. So
So you went after Pesach.
Sorry,
to go from the other
after
way,
Pesach, we had to go around. So
not to
I
California.
didn't go to California, to Sydney, or whatever, to
You went to
Melbourne.
Europe and from
Went
Europe.
to Europe, went to
Yeah.
Frankfurt and to
Exactly.
Singapore. I don't remember exactly.
Right.
Thailand. I don't remember exactly.
The other way. The other
Yeah,
way.
and it's much longer. It's
Yes.
like 30 hours or something.
Okay.
I'm saying that it's different opinions in the world. I'm saying different people have different opinions about it. So if possible, you don't want to get into the situation.
Right.
You have to check it out before you fly.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. And it's not just Australia. I'm saying somebody was there for Pesach in Vietnam.
From Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Many Bochen did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, a lot of places. Okay, let's continue. In Chafei is also a similar idea. If this is all, if you're sure that you didn't count one night, you're not sure if you counted and you didn't count the next day. Then you should count the other nights of the bracha. Why the kaven shishli stapik? You also have another six. You have a suffix, maybe maybe you counted by nighttime. Maybe you did count, right? You weren't sure. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but maybe you did. And you also have this opinion which says that maybe every night is his own mitzvah. One each night is not dependent on the other. Comes out as a six to be machmir lahatzik bracha sfira v'shar halelistim. That you should have a bracha in all the other nights. Makim shel zbar so last is for the bracha makim safash is the shenim lechaz v'safar is per b'shar halelis bracha. Same thing. Also, anything which we mentioned that.
Only if you know for sure that you need to make a bracha and you miss a
Right.
Then it's
Right. So we mentioned different situations where you're gonna have to repeat the svira. We have to be machmir to repeat the svira. That's even like count the day, the different things which we said. You should still be machmir to repeat the svira. And even if you didn't do it, you didn't know you have to repeat it. And you asked the Rav only after the next day, and you realized you were supposed to repeat it. It's still, you can repeat it with the bracha. Okay, Chavav. This is somebody asked a Shaila about what's a Shabbos, when do you say Svira? He went home. He wanted to know if he says it before Havdalah, after Havdalah. This is like, okay, this is Ashkenazim shuls. They make Kiddush, yeah. So the place where they make Kiddush and Havdalah, a lot more shuls make Havdalah also. So then then when do you do Svira? Svira you do after Kiddush. Why? The fish she come should bring in Kedusha Shabbos earlier. Mati Shabbos and Yom Tov, say Kedin Havdalah. What about Mati Shabbos and Yom Tov? When should you make? You should do Svira before Havdalah. Why? You should call Mashanoch la'achar Havdalah. You should la'achar. Today, shall I take dushas? I need to learn kamasi. It shouldn't look like we're trying to get rid of Yom Tov or Shabbos. Therefore, we want to first do Svira. Push off Havdalah a little bit. He says, "Abeimu keimesh mavdil Mati Shabbos kedem yidlacham yad achar kedem kazas kabel." Different minhagim. Some people do Havdalah Mati Shabbos. Everyone they say kazas kabel. Some people do Havdalah right away and then they say Vitnacha. It's sort of our minhag, right? But Abeimu keimesh Vitnacha kedem Havdalah. A lot of shows they say Vitnacha before. I've seen this before Havdalah. Yeah, they say Vitnacha before Havdalah. I saw in Bar Park in 1856. Yeah, you remember?
Why they do
That's
it?
shul, right?
Why they do it?
Kesser Yisrael, what was it called? Something like that. Yeah.
Why they say Vitnacha before that?
That's the minhag. This is the minhag. Why should we say after right but not before? But like we say V'hinayim before about the Kaddish. We say things, you know.
There's nobody there from the original minion who could tell you why they probably did.
I don't know. Rabbi there's more Sefiras. I didn't look it up, but there is such a minhag.
Okay.
So it says it doesn't make a difference. He says whether as long as right after Kaddish is Kabul, we do Svira. Right after Kaddish is Kabul, before whether it's Havdalah before Vitnacha, it doesn't make a difference. We should be makdim Svira. We do it early as possible. Miyash sakat tefillah kash lachra chalin was Svira. Do Svira right away.
So you saw a lane after.
Saying the Welt does it, says Alino, right? I think a lot of things we do. There was somebody here last time, which he like wanted to know if we counted Svira, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
He like did it.
Party.
Yeah. So he like they were like sparring to him. He never he totally missed it. So we do a lot of things. We do the Menorah before Alino, the David Shamedi before Alino. There's like a whole bunch of things which we do before Alino, and the Welt does it the opposite. They first say Alino, right? So the Vart is, I think that it's part of its tefillah. We look at it as a chilek of tefillah. So anything
It's
that's
going to finish yet, so
Alino is the siyam at tefillah. So yeah. Now this is about piyutim. Maybe people who know about piyutim. Maybe you're familiar about piyutim. No.
Vayiten lecha.
What?
We said Vayiten lecha Elokim.
No. In Leil Pesach.
Oh,
It's
that's
piyutim. People who have nusach to say piyutim.
Real math.
So there's a special piyut which they say in first night of Yom Tov. It's called Maravis. And I guess people are not familiar. Okay, we can skip Chav Zayin. I can skip it. Chav Ches. That was Chav Ches. I'm sorry. Okay, Chav Zayin is also about when you make Kiddush on Havdalah, Mati Shabbos, so you should push off Havdalah as much as possible. First the Svira and then you do Kiddush. As a Chav Tes, Chadash, something new, Chadash. Okay, Chadash is a big thing here, right? Every store, a pizza shop or bakery, right? Tas Yashin. It's very nowadays. It's very motzi to do it. The minhag. Sounds like this.
When Isaac Bakery had a drop-off store in Konrad, so he put a new sign and he wrote over the Lechem Yoshon.
in the army they give old bread every morning. Get old one.
Kemach Yashin, not Lechem Yashin.
Kemach Yashin.
Yeah. Yes. Also, Lecha Chadash Afbiyim Hazeh, Bizman Hazeh. Says you're not even Bizman Hazeh after the Beis Hamikdash is Nechrev. It's also to eat Chadash. Right? What's Chadash? Chadash is that the new Tvua, the new produce,
No wheat.
new wheat. Yeah, is which was only started to take root after you planted. Only started to take root after the Haomer was cut. Now that it eats, you have to wait until the Haomer or the produce which grew before the Haomer. You have to wait until the Haomer comes. You cut the carbon Haomer is brought. Also lechel chadash ab zman hazeh bein lechem, whether the chadash is lechem, bein kali, bein carmel. So the kali and carmel is the kernels that they dry them, they roast the kernels. Yeah.
And Kali.
Kali is they take that roasted kernels and they grind it up and make it into flour. So you're not allowed to eat the new produce which grew from the new year at Chilas Yud Zayim Nisim until the beginning of the Zayim Nisim. Yeah. Shenemer, where do we know this? The pasuk says, "V'lechem akali v'chaim leiseichlo ad etel meim hazeh." Ad v'chlal. It's talking about the day of Tazayim, including the day of Tazayim, which is the second day of Pesach. Elo shebizman shebeisem geshkayom shecharav Haomer b'yim Tazayim hoter chadash miyad. Time of the Beis Hamikdash. And Tazayim, the second day of Pesach, when they brought the carbon Haomer, the chadash became mutter. They were you're allowed to eat from the new tefillah. Shenemar ad aviyachem is carbon lekechem. That you have to wait to eat it from the new tefillah until you bring the carbon Haomer. Carbon nowadays that we don't have a carbon. And when the day passed, the Tezayim passed, that's when you're allowed to start eating from the new tefillah. Or Geila, which means in Chutz La'aretz. You didn't know when was Rosh Chodesh. It's also to eat Chadash, also the whole day of Yud Zayin, until Yud Ches. Why? Because you're not sure is maybe Yud Zayin, which is in Chutz La'aretz, is really Tez Zayin, because maybe they're Makadosh Chodesh the day later, and that's why it's going to be really Yud Zayin is really Tez Zayin. So, and you need to wait until Tez Zayin passes. You think right now it's Yud Zayin, but really it could be Tez Zayin, because they didn't get the message yet.
So what happened? The Chodesh is one day.
So
delayed.
So in Chutz La'aretz they say maybe in Chutz La'aretz they counted early. They started the Chodesh early. Right. They didn't know when the Chodesh was, and they started the Chodesh early. Right. So it comes out that Yud Zayin in Chutz La'aretz is really Tez Zayin. So they didn't know, and it's a suffix which is suffix al Torah. Right. Why is suffix al Torah? Shachadash aser gam Chutz La'aretz min Torah. Because even in Chutz La'aretz, it's aser min Torah. Shenever b'chol meshvisechem, wherever you live. And now you can say today we know what's really Yud Zayin and what's Tez Zayin. So maybe once Tez Zayin passes, that's it. In the Shanis Minig Avisin, every time she's brought something called Minig Avisin b'Yadenu, you can change. Since they were machmer not to eat until Yud Ches. So also nowadays you can't eat the Chadash until Yud Ches. Lamed. He starts off with a statement. Statement is he brings in the Bach. Nowadays, the Olam is not careful about Chadash. Period. That's it. Period. They're not careful. Now this is the minhag of the time now to Rabbi, that people were not careful. Yeah, people were not careful about Chadash, Isser Chadash. Now why? The Yeshalam Nalim schools, some of the Shainim, a lot of the Shainim, they Malamet schools. Why not careful Chadash? Chadash L'Chura is Isim in Atayra. They learn Malamet schools when Keimer Shereva Tvur and Izras Keinim Pesach. If the majority of the Tvur of the produce is planted before Pesach, right? So it's planted before Pesach, right? We assume that it was also Nishrush. It was also started becoming rooted already from before Pesach. It comes the Haomer, it's mutter. So he says, and that's the Metzius that in those countries that's most of the Torah from before Pesach. Or maybe they don't grow the Torah here, but they bring most of the Torah comes from out of the country, and in the other country where it grows, it's from before Pesach. Which is bar. There's no problem, Mr. Chadash.
So how come that can feel with the Machmir?
Oh, we're not finished. This is a long sipple here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Machmir.
So, you have those who are machmer, right? In those places. So there are those who are machmer and they're careful for any tfor which they don't know for sure that it was planted and it was grown, it was rooted already from before Pesach. Some people are machmer and they say, if I don't know, I don't have a hechsher on it and says that it was planted from before Pesach, I'm not going to touch that tfor. I'm not going to touch that food. So he says, so what do they have to be careful to use kalim, which were in them were cooked from the new that they know from tfor which they knew for sure that was from vor, or could they use kalim which were used from stam tfor? He says, "Ein tzarich lizayim a plate kalim shasvashim min shareitz lavashal akshav yashin." Allowed to use the kalim. The din is a min if it's the same type, mixes into let's say the tvor mixes into tvor, right? So they're both the same type of produce, right? So then it's minatayra, it's batal bereiv. Midrabbanan you need shishim. So when you're using the kalim of tvor, which were so even if it was really from the chadash. But it's going to become, it's batal, I don't know, batal, b'shishim, at least batal bereiv.
Right.
And you don't have to be machmer so much. Okay, so that was a parenthesis. Let's not get confused. So the first limit school, so why people are not machmer is because most of the tvua was planted before Pesach, right? So when it comes in summertime, so you're going to come in the Tammuz and Av, and you go to the bakery. You want to have So this tvua, we assume, was from before Pesach. If it was from after Pesach, we have a problem, right? So it says, okay, what about the places? That's in places where most of the tvua is planted from before. But what about the places where the tvua we know is planted after Pesach? Okay, Shadev in Shadev Shibela Shola in Poland. Shadev Shibela Shola Seidim Sheitzam Shibela Shola, I think the spelt, right? The barley which they make from them beer. Yeah. Mizrayim Achra Pesach. Most of it's planted from after Pesach. They make beer from produce which is planted after Pesach. Wheat was after Pesach. Again, you can't say, maybe the heter is because they bring produce also from other countries, and over there they plant it from before Pesach. No. Doesn't happen. Nevertheless, even in such places, most of the Elam is not careful about Yitzhak Chadash. The Elam is not careful about Yitzhak Chadash.
Talking about us now.
Oh, so 1 second. So what do we do now? What do we do with that? Those who are Malamas, we need a new limit over here. Over there is a Shasat Chak. Why is the Shasat Chak? Why is it so pressing that they have to have their sheikher? This is what they would drink. They would, I guess, I don't know. They didn't drink so much water, but they wasn't so healthy, the water. So the sheikher was the main thing. We find other places the sheikher on Shabbos is considered a Shasat Chak. Shabbos is considered a Shasat Chak. So, and also to get sheikher, it's for a certain attain to use a guy or something. We saw that their ikr shtia was sheikher. It was a Shasat Chak not to have it. Therefore, you can be seimach in a Shasat Chak, you can be seimach on a das yachid. So since there is a shitta which says certain shenim she was hold mixes the shenim, the Rebbe says that holds that chadash and chutz la'aretz is only midrabanan. Why is it only midrabanan? Why is it also midrabanan? Because they didn't want you to do it in Eretz Yisrael, so they asked it also outside Eretz Yisrael. But that they asked it outside Eretz Yisrael is only in places close to Eretz Yisrael. The Gazan came as a smuchel Eretz Yisrael. In Mitzrayim, Amin, Amoyev, or Babel, all right around. And she's bar b'idei Sim Shalom Aleph. Right? It's not gonna, maybe what's gonna be in Iraq, those places. That's
close to Israel.
but no, where's Bubble? Bubble is not Iraq. It was
I think it's Iraq.
What is it called? Yaman.
No, Yemen is not Iraq.
Yemen.
Africa.
That's close to Mitzrayim. I think Africa would be Mitzrayim.
Yeah.
No, Bubble
We're
is
talking about Bubble.
Saddam Hussein during the Gulf War. He said he was descendant of Nebuchadnezzar.
He says that he was.
And one of his missiles.
What Talmud Bubble? From where? From
I
Iraq?
think he claimed he was.
Haomer
So here it's at Iraq
He claimed he was
and
reincarnated.
Bubble.
So
Today
Lamaisa,
they ship stuff on boats and on their weekend.
right? Today it's
They bring stuff from Ukraine
right.
there itself for sure.
Right. So Lamaisa, so this is the second limit of schools, is that even the countries which they don't take from other countries and they do plant only after Pesach, so you don't have the heter, they still have, when it comes to the beer, the shecher, since it's a shas chak, they have to have their beer, so that's their drink. So it could be samech on the shita that says in Chutz La'aretz it's only with the rabbanim. We said beforehand that the ikir is that it's min haTorah because it says min mishvis b'chol mishvis seichem. Or it could be same shas chak on a shita which mixes the shem.
They weren't drinking it, they were selling it. It's not that inns and all the alcohol.
It says ikir shtiyasam and shecher the ikir drink.
For the guy.
The guy.
They were selling.
So you're saying that what?
But
They could shti for years, it's not beer. But they were selling that inns, that hotels, whatever. They were in the Kreitzman business.
It's masha that even for the Yidden, saying it was in Shabbos that you have to you can get the guy to bring you the shecher on Shabbos, the shus, whole nice because this was their main drink.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm saying I guess it doesn't say mashka, but it says shecher. I don't know the matzah. I don't know
the drink is number one.
Right, I don't know the matzah. Maybe the water wasn't so. I don't know.
Because they're not drink.
There's Hamar Medina also comes in by Hamar Medina. It's like I don't know. So he says, there's another limud schus. This is from the back. Some people learn another limud schus. שסיירים שחדש אין נהיג על הבטבוע של שישראל ושל כסירה, אבל לא בשל נחרים. That when Chadash only by Tvua of a Yid when that belonged to the Yid when it was cut. But if it belonged to the guy when it was cut, so then you don't have a problem with Chadash.
They don't call it Pat Israel, Ktsirat Israel, Bishul Israel.
Yeah. So okay, so that's this other limits. But again, these are all limits schools. It's not the straight halacha. Straight halacha is that it's aser. Saying the first limit schools is a more is saying the rave of it. He says we go after the rave, right? The other one that we have to start being seimech on shittas that which is not the main halacha. And if you want to seimech on it's fine, or you want to say it's only by a yid. If so, yeah, the yid in the shtetlach, in the villages which they leased their fields and they had tfuah, which
after Pesach
from the potters, right, from the sadash al sar, and so it belongs to they're the ones the yidden are the ones that are cutting it. So then there has to be there's Isser Chadash according to this limud schos. Seems like he says you should be machmer about that if you know it belongs to the Yid. But he finishes off. I will call Baal Nefesh. Rabbi Baal Nefesh. L'yismach l'matirim halalu. Should not be seimach on these matirim. B'yachmer la'atzmi. He says you machmer to yourself. Don't say you have to come with a calculator to say that everyone has to do it. B'yachmer la'atzmi. For themselves they should be machmer. Whatever is possible. Saying if it was a mole, it was also hard to get other tfuah if they needed for the mitzvah or for food. He says, like that's kama rever d'shem rachim. Shachadash neig min hatayra af chutz la'aretz. Chadash neig and hatayra even chutz la'aretz b'chol makim everywhere. Af b'shel nachrim, even if it's cut by a guy. Ki chein nicker, al travis is dicker. So Alter Rebbe says,
If the Alter write the word Baal Nefesh, how come we Chabad don't mark it? We're not Baal
Oh.
Nefesh?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. It's hard to understand, but
Many
Lamaisa,
times the Alter Rebbe write Baal Nefesh and we Chabad go ahead and Machmer.
right.
Here, even though write Baal Nefesh in the
Right. It's a good question. The Amos does the truth. If you look in, they talk to, I think in the stuff over here, although in looking at Reish Lamed in the bottom of these new thing, Reish Lamed. So Reish Lamed back Reish Lamed back Yeridei Shem Sifsim, yeah. So he brings from the Regam Shut Rabbeinu Shenog Omal Hachash Yisrael. Like the next one. There are many things which the earlier generation was Mako, right? And in the later generation, later generations they were Machmer. Later generations they were Machmer. One of the things was another thing about davening Ma'ariv Bizmano. And the Tshuva also talks about davening Ma'ariv Bizmano, to wait until his man. Yeah, he says they were very meko. He said even Plaga Mincha. Even now a lot of people. But at that time is a time when they started being machmir.
You didn't have electric lights.
It's true. They started being saying the whole day worked around their work day worked around that. So they started being machmer in that. Another thing he writes is they started being machmer also in Chadash. It's one of the things they started being machmer in. But at the end of Reish Lamed in the Sahara, you see where he brings from says the whole Shut Samach Tzaddik, famous Shut Samach Tzaddik about this. That the Pile the minig the Medinas is to Aser Chadash they saw the Hatter Chadash Nachri. The minig was to be Matter Chadash Nachri, but to be machmer. That was the minig. Even though the Churah Machmer. But Maisa, and you see, he brings from the Rebbe has a Sichron, Hashem, Sheba Poyo Mekilim is Manema. In that time, it's hard to understand today when we're very Machmer, and but in Tavshemem, the Rebbe says in Sicha that he didn't find anyone in Brooklyn who's Machmer in Chodesh at that time. Hard to understand today. So many chumras, I'm saying, you remember those days. All these chumras of today's a whole new world. The chumras which in the past 30 years, it's the chumras became mainstream. Also, it's much easier to be machmer a lot of things. I'm saying it's Mitzias became much easier.
The baking after Pesach and the write down. It's
baking have to do when it was rooted, when you planted, when did it lishlish? And they start rooting in the ground. It was rooted.
And it belonged to going to the most of the way, not eating. You don't have eaten the own field with two.
Right. A lot of it's also from before Pesach. A lot of it also comes from different places. But the question is about certain produce and certain things which are dafka. Their season is only later. It also depends on what year. The seasons, different things. There are cheshbonos. But the Maisa, the Rebbe then said that the Pile he didn't find hidden. There's a Shalom Razov, a certain Shalom Razov was a chassid in I'm saying was
in the Frierdiker Rebbe.
He's a bacher by the Frierdiker Rebbe, right? But he was saying he was around Tafshem Mem, so he was machmer already then. He was very machmer in everything. He didn't go according to the minig what people did.
Right.
His own house, he was crazy machmer in every single chumrah.
Right.
But Lovkowskis, I think, are machmer. There are some people which are machmer, but generally people were mako. The Maisa, why not? It's available. Why not? I don't think there's anything against being mahadid and trying to do it. It's a good thing. I'm saying it's nothing, but it's saying the Maisa. I don't know if the hechshedim I think demand it usually. So they usually have to.
What was it say about the Izay that he stole his Robertson? He too long this. It's careful.
So this is his great uncle. Shalom Razov was his great uncle.
But he told his wife he too long this. It's careful. You know too much.
Yeah, we have
exactly 10.
Kapanim. So that's the nice of Chodesh. And Sefiras Haomer.
Yes. We should have a Chodesh and the Mikdash.
Yeah.
That's Haomer after Mashiach. gonna have the Haomer.
That's from the day.
The question is it going to come in the Torah? That's the question.
No, we're gonna have Haomer,
Yeah, we're gonna do Ktziras with Beis Hamikdash.
so we're gonna do Smear.
Yeah.
The question is we didn't do the Eimer now. We're going to have
But
Shtei Alach,
He will answer. He will answer.
Shtei Alachem.
He will answer.
Yeah.
But the whole-
There's the whole question with the spear. Mashiach will come. What's gonna happen for him? Is it
Put it in
one of-
WhatsApp.
Thank you. He says Mashiach will come. He will answer all the questions that we have no answer.
So David,
Can we start Maariv, everybody? We ready?
I davened already.
have a good night.
No,
No, the Bahamas Soloveitchik is the one who's started with the Yasha.